The Catalan derby doesn't have the same panache as the Madrid derby or the Seville derby. Obviously, it's pretty one-sided. But don't doubt that to me or what I just watched. We have a lot, and I mean a lot, to go over. It's a derby, so I don't think I barely even used any stats. But somehow I had to pare it down to 5 headlines. So let's get into them. One is a great escape. Barcelona somehow got out of Cornellà with 1 point, clawing their way back from down 2-1 in a match that you could argue in the comments below. Did Barcelona deserve 3 points? Did they deserve 1 point? Did they deserve 0? And deserve is always this weird amalgamous opinion, right? Anybody has their opinion on whether or not Barca deserved anything with this match. But we know the result, that tying it up in the final minute with a header from Luuk de Jong was enough to get Barcelona the 1 point to keep 4th place and to keep pace with Atletico Madrid, who won today. So they did get the point they needed. 3 points and being closer to 3rd than 4th is what any Culé would have wanted from this. It's still an important point, but this is the big but. I come away with negative feelings, of course, because it felt like on the back of the Atletico Madrid win, finally Barca had some momentum. Finally, they would win 3 straight games for the first time this season. They had to, right? Barcelona had not lost to Espanyol in the Catalan derby since 2009. And I don't know where you are in your fanhood, but that was a long time ago. I was a younger man, and maybe you weren't watching Barca at the time. Espanyol also had 1 point from the last 4 matches. Yet, Barca should have been defeated in Cornellà. The team as a whole played fine. Some guys were all right, but some will need that Men in Black style. And I think I'm dating myself a bit with this reference, but that Men in Black style erase of the memory, that little clicker pen that they had. Because some guys, if they actually remember this match and think of this as the players they are, they're never going to be able to play for FC Barcelona again. Some guys had a real disaster today, unfortunately. I want to thank OneFootball for sponsoring this video. OneFootball is the app I use to keep me up to date on everything FC Barcelona, as well as all the other teams that Alemany might be scouting right now for a big summer transfer window. With a custom-tailored homepage, stay up to date with breaking news, live scores, and even transfer news. While on the go, you can check with matches in live time and watch videos afterwards. Use the link in the description below for a free download of OneFootball on Android or iOS to put all your football in one place. And you also help out a tiny Barca channel like this one too. Thanks again to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. Now back to the on-field business. 2 is heated derby, and this started the minute Espanyol, I think, seemed to feel like they were the underdogs when they went down 74 seconds into this game. Busquets got away with one on Dardar in the first half, then Busi gets hit with 2 in the first half, Araujo as well taking a big knock. Then Araujo, whether from the tackle or not, is banged up again, a left calf injury replaced by Eric Garcia at halftime. And I want to mention here that if Araujo, that injury is related to the knock he took, that's real unfortunate, because he is in that place now where I was already starting to call him injury prone, not to the likes of Ansu, but almost to the level. The percentage of matches he missed is greater than Ousmane Dembélé in the last 3 years, which I still cannot wrap my head around. It feels like he's available, right? He had surgery and then played in El Clasico a few days later. It's not his fault. He's really tough, but this is real bad timing if Araujo misses any bit of time and isn't good to go. I mean, even Napoli on Thursday or next weekend against Valencia. And then the late red cards, Gerard Piqué and Nico Mir, real ugly from the captain. Piqué was the worst starter today, and obviously as a captain, you've got to be better than that. You've got to keep your head, especially late on in that game. You could argue that going down 10v10 is what helped Barcelona get forward because Espanyol was missing that guy they needed to do to defend, and Barca didn't really need an extra player to hold the ball and not do much with it in the second half of this game. So maybe that extra man did help Barca score, but that was not Piqué's plan. He just lost his head against an opponent that he knows he dominates, that he shouldn't have to feel like he's on the back end and almost take this thing personally and give himself a red card. It's just embarrassing for Piqué. And now the bigger story is that we don't know how long Araujo is out. Alves is gone next weekend too, so we'll get Eric. More on him in a second. But Miko Marmol, Clement Lenglet, Samuel Umtiti, enjoy your tryout in training this week. Or, how about Frankie de Jong Libero, anyone? Because, we'll get to this in a second, that midfield thing, I don't know about that today. 3, let's stay with that back line because that Barca back line today was not good, to put it lightly. Because once Ron Araujo went down in this game, the complexion of what Barca were struggling with changed. Because in the first half, Barca couldn't keep control of the ball. They were giving Espanyol chances. It was 1-1, and certainly Barcelona should have felt like they were on the front foot, but their chances weren't really any bit better than Espanyol's. Espanyol just had less chances, but actually converted their goal in the first half, as Barcelona didn't convert anything until the last minute of the game and the first minute of the game. To be honest with you, I'm going to have to look back and look at Dest, because along that back line today, I think Dest was the one, I can't believe I'm saying this, was the one who actually might come out with it shrouded in not even glory, but just having not had a bad game today. The inverted fullback position isn't something he's ready for, in the least, at all. But because Adama Traore is such a force 1v1 and does attract so much attention, Dest can stay at home and worry about his defending, which was actually okay today. Dest's defending was not a complete disaster, and that's kind of what you're asking for him. He didn't get forward. Again, he tried to invert, but he just was not helping with overloading the midfield with numbers, and he and his passing were not breaking down that back line of Espanyol. That was the issue with Araujo as well. That Espanyol, just like many other teams in the league, were saying, that guy, he's got to be the one to beat us with the ball at his feet. And so Busquets would have to drop in, or Pedri would drop in. Somebody in the midfield would drop in to help with build-up, and that meant that Espanyol was just able to overload the midfield, and their five at the back didn't have to play narrow at all. They could actually just continue to contend with Gabi, who was kind of inverting in, and Adama on one side. And that all started the back line not really being able to distribute the way that Xavi would like them to, and that's the issue with Araujo. But then Eric Garcia comes on at halftime, and you see the complete opposite issues, where defending is really important for defenders, and Eric Garcia did none of that today. It's one thing to be out of rhythm, because he was, but it's another thing to be so out of rhythm that maybe he shouldn't have been in this match, because he didn't really even look fully fit. That would be the excuse, because if not, and he was fully fit, then this was an absolute disaster from Eric Garcia. And all the defending that I had done early on, I looked so smart because of how good Eric Garcia was before he got hurt. And then today, I mean, this is the reactionary world that we live in, and I know Twitter and YouTube, and I know what people are going to say in the comments, that you're going to throw it all away. Because this is the kind of match that you go, oh, if that's how low this guy can go, if that's his floor, you can't play him. And that's a terrifying thought, because Eric Garcia and his progressive passing, and just, again, the things that he does, the way he allows Barcelona to control and make chances and give less work to Dest and Adama and Busquets and Frenkie and Pedri, but yet Eric just today was a net loss, certainly. And we're largely talking about that second goal, but it wasn't just the second goal. Just being nutmegged, out of position, it was rough, and it wasn't just the goal, unfortunately. 4 is Pedri and Dardar. Well done. This is 2-2, so I do want to compliment, and maybe it's just because I have him on my mind after reading the Sid Lowe piece this week about his struggles with mental health, but Dardar was really good in this match, and Pedri, fortunately, matched him. And if any two players deserved goals in the first half, it's those two players, Pedri and Dardar. Pedri's goal, 74 seconds in after the start of the match, is the earliest score in a derby between Barca and Espanyol in the Liga in the entire 21st century, and it was a well-done goal by Barcelona too. A long ball to Adama starts the move. He misplays a centering pass. That was a theme in this game. Busquets gets it back to De Jong, who dropped in for Alba to overlap. Alba's cross finds Pedri, who is playing between Pedrosa and Cabrera, and right off the shoulder of Ferran Torres, who attracted the attention of Cabrera. So Ferran Torres is not going to be given a lot of compliments from this game, but his movement on that first goal was enough to get Pedri in the space he needed to finish. Barca's players, at least 74 seconds in, looked like they were technically better, like they were tactically better, and they were ready to dominate this game. But I think Pedri in this match was hurt by the lack of cohesion, again with De Jong and Busquets. The other day, De Jong was better against Atleti, and Busquets suffered. Today, I mean, Busquets wasn't great, he was fine, but De Jong certainly suffered. And on the other side, Sergi Dardar was better than both De Jong and Busquets. And it wasn't just the goal. He was keeping Espanyol in it in that first half and not allowing Barcelona to overload the midfield and create something through the center channel, especially for Ferran Torres, who was basically marked out of the game completely by that back line and Bear and Dardar. And then on the goal, RDT receives it, pulls Araujo out, Dest looking for a place to make himself useful, Busquets trying to drop in and track the run from the midfield, nobody stepping to the ball other than Pedri, who was behind it. Dardar found the space and delivered a really, really nice goal. And then the assist too to RDT, Garcia gets it, obviously very wrong, I already said that, but Dardar put him in that position. What a wonderful pass. So Pedri, good on him, and good on Dardar as well. 5, and I could have gone in a lot of different directions with this one. I could have talked about the subs, I could talk about a lot of different things. Xavi's choices, the De Jong and Busquets, and harp on that. But I want to mention Gabi here and his mindset, because I think there is some concern about him playing on the left wing today, unlike against Atletico Madrid. But when you're dealing with a 5-4-1 and 5 at the back, you can't fault his mindset and his effort. But as I said, the struggles that he had as a winger, it was a match that just needed that left winger to add width. And that's why Barcelona were creating more chances late on the last 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, they were more desperate, but with Dembélé coming on and going out on the left, Ferran Torres dropping in, Aubameyang and Adama Traore, they were able to spread that back line a bit more in a way that they just weren't able to do that with Gabi. But again, that's not no fault of Gabi. That's not the player he is. He was playing a bit out of position. That's why you saw De Jong come off, and Gabi deserved to step in to that interior role. And even the goal, offside or not, he was fighting like Barcelona were always going to come back. Honestly, and I may be projecting here, I can't tell you other than PK having an absolute stinker which Barcelona players weren't pushing late on in that game. It felt like they were pushing. But Gabi, I felt like with sheer force of will would help get a goal. And he did to go up 2-1, but that was called offside. Then it felt like the team wilted. At least until Xavi threw the kitchen sink and Luke de Jong on the field. And again, de Jong was given one job and one job only, and he did that job. And Adama redeemed what was a rather so-so match with his second assist of the season and second assist for Barca in 2 games. But back to Gabi, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's true that some players for Barca can't do it physically, even if they wanted to. But if you had 11 players with the mindset of Gabi in a derby, yeah, you'd probably have more red cards, but you wouldn't soften up the way Xavi's team did when they went down a goal. It must be said, Xavi is unafraid to go for top 4. Dembele's usage indicates that. You can question the Busquets to Young decision all you want. We'll definitely hit that on the podcast tomorrow, so I don't want to spoil that whole conversation here, and I'll explain why I think he made that move and whether or not it was the right move. But the subs and the timing of said subs was all about getting any desperate result for Xavi, and they did just that today, getting the 1 point to stay in 4th place. Coming back and needing a desperate goal could be enough to galvanize this team moving forward. As I said, momentum is huge. This team is ready to wilt and just pushing and trying to fly as high as they can. They just can't seem to get there. Now that game midweek against Napoli is going to be another test. Does the Europa League matter? I don't know. We'll have to wait till after the Napoli result to figure out if the Europa League does matter. But next weekend against Valencia, with a shorthanded back line that wasn't great in this match, even when they were just missing Dani Alves, and I said Dest was fine, Barcelona are going to need everything they've got against Valencia next weekend, that's for sure. I know I like to break down tactics and stats and all that stuff, but in the derby, it's kind of a reminder that it's all about wanting it more and feeling and the desire. You got to fight in football, and Barca did just enough of that today to get 1 point. As I said, there's a podcast tomorrow, and then it's Napoli on Thursday, so a busy week for Culers, and I'm hoping this team can give us something to be excited about by the end of the week. So until then, Forza Barca.